I am extremely excited for today's episode. I've got my good buddy, Mitch Edquist.
Ooh,
He's zooming in, so it's the first non-in-person episode I'm recording, but this is a guy I go way back with. And Mitch,
absolutely.
what's going on today?
Oh, not too much, man. Excited to be on the show. I'm excited to be episode number 13. I wish I would have caught your lucky number 12, but 13 will do. Hopefully, it's a
Absolutely.
relatively lucky 13.
It's going to be, man. I think it's going to be unique. It'll definitely be
Yeah.
different than all the other episodes. We've got a much stronger relationship than what I've had on, and
Oh my
I guess
goodness.
that's what happens. So we've been friends since sixth grade.
It's going to be a weird contrast. Yeah, I listened to your episode 12 today, and that was the episode with, I can't remember his name, but you've known him for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, Ryan. I've known him
Ryan.
for a few weeks. We've never hung out. The most time we've spent together was recording that podcast. So
Oh, that's
there's
crazy.
yeah. And you said
And
you went for a walk today after listening to that. So
I
that's
did. I was inspired. Yeah.
right on. That's what we're
Putting
doing.
out good content, making me get it on.
Hell yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, but like you said, I've known you since sixth grade. Um, Many people who know us might be surprised to know that upon meeting, and maybe for the next few weeks to a couple months, we strongly disliked each other. I definitely didn't like you, and I don't think you liked me for the first like month.
Well, yeah, you were stepping on my territory. I thought I was a big shot. I was Fort Atkinson's top basketball player, and,
Yep.
and I had a pretty large ego when I was 11 years old. And then you came in from Racine, and you thought you were hot shit, and you were
I
pretty
thought the
good,
exact same thing.
you know. So and then we ended up becoming brothers over the course of years, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's kind of crazy how that happens. And I guess that's a little life lesson that we shouldn't always go off of first impressions, because sometimes
Right.
impressions suck, and then you end up realizing that somebody's really good
Yeah.
person.
Very, very important. But give each other a chance.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Big time. Yeah. What's going on there today?
So today everything's pretty quiet, man. Even though we have the new AD,
Hmm.
um, I feel like a lot of people aren't really coming into work. They're probably sneaking their vacations in before school starts. And I think my boss has some family stuff going on, so she's gone. I got a good workout in, did some deadlifts and
There we
some
go. There we go.
kettlebell lunges, and then dumbbell squats. And that was
Oh
a work
man,
core. So I feel good, man.
dude, you're an inspiration, man. Fitness wise, diet wise, exercise wise, like everything.
Well, I'm going to Chick-fil-A after we record this. That's not diet-wise. It's not all there, but
Ruined it.
how
The
about you,
man
man?
behind the mask.
Yeah, exactly. It's all a fallacy.
Oh, that's perfect though.
What about you, though? Tell them what you're up to, because I know you got
Yeah.
a pretty tough shift coming up here in a couple hours.
Yeah. So I'm a fourth year medical student, currently working in Cincinnati, Ohio. Absolutely fantastic city. If anybody's ever gotten the chance to come out or has not gotten the chance to come out, strongly recommend it. Um, Working a week of night shifts this week, which is not my favorite. So 7P to 7A. Currently in the intensive care unit, so kind of a lot of exciting patients, really sick people. Kind of nice to actually have people who deserve to be in the hospital. So unlike some people who come through, like the emergency room or the regular hospital floors, sometimes it's kind of just some bullshit. But these people are, critically ill and actually like needing help and needing our services. So it's pretty exciting. This is definitely not what I plan to be when I grow up.
Mm,
Uh, that would be radiology.
hell yeah.
I'm kind of one of those wanting to sit in a dark room and, and not see patients.
Dude, I know. I
So,
told my buddy who's a PA the other day that you were thinking about radiology, and he's like, "Oh, you want to make a lot of money?" And I was like, "I think
well,
that's the
that's
game plan."
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely part of the plan. It's been a big sacrifice this last handful of years. So at the end of the day, you like to be fairly compensated, but I think I'll be good at it, and that's also important to me. Um, and not having to deal with a lot of the silly things that other specialties might have to deal with.
Mm.
So it has its pros and cons, but yeah, it's a long road. Definitely worth it in the end.
100%, man. It's going to be.
Yeah.
And so, on the spectrum of introversion to extroversion, where would you say you lie?
Ooh, I would say I lean more towards introversion. Um, I I'm quite good at being able to make random small talk or give someone a decent first impression for a few minutes. But after that, I kind of start to, I don't know if it's lose interest or become distracted or something. You know, I don't know if it's a hallmark of introversion, but if I had the choice, I would typically probably hang out solo or with, one, maybe two other people. Big groups usually not my thing.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I can relate to that.
yeah, yeah. But I don't know, what would you say about yourself?
It's hard because when I tell people that I think I'm an outgoing introvert, they think I'm full of shit. They're like, "No way, you're totally extroverted." And I
Exactly.
get it. Like I'm a people person, and I think that I definitely have good soft skills, which really relate to communication and all that. But
Mhm.
one of the definitions of introversion extroversion that I kind of go by is when are you able to kind of recharge batteries, re-energize yourself? And I find myself best able to do that when I'm having a one-on-one conversation like right now, or going for a walk or a bike ride with Hannah or a friend, or even
Sure.
solo. Like that's for me. In bigger groups, the bigger it gets, like the smaller I shrink, I think. And I
Mhm.
think there's like a little bit of neuroticism in that, and uh,
Mhm.
anxiety and whatnot. But it's also
Mhm.
like a big thing is just like fighting comfort,
Yeah.
because I mean we all want to be comfortable. We're seeking comfort a lot of times, and not being in a big social situation or environment is typically more comfortable. So I think sometimes that's just what it is.
Well, that's huge though, because that's what you have to try to break out of. Like the uncomfortable situations are always the good growth opportunities. They're always the good, um, you know, I said growth, but maturation as well is making these uncomfortable situations comfortable. Eventually, I don't know if you can ever run out of uncomfortable things because there are so many uncomfortable things in the world. But if you could
True.
just pare them down one by one, I think that's huge. I think that's probably a lot of what our 20s are for, honestly. Like we're just trying to figure out who the hell we are, like what are we doing, why are we doing what we're doing, even though because the day to day grind might be kind of a bummer, filled with some kind of spikes of ups or whatever. But you know, I would say the same thing as I imagine you would. Like if at any random moment of the day, you would probably rather be doing something else. Is
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
true? And not that you hate what you do, but it's not like your number one. I want to do this right now thing.
True. Yeah. I mean, that's why they say that FOMO is one of the biggest
Hmm.
things right now in society, and leading to a lot of depression, anxiety, fear of missing out. And social media plays into that so much. Like, the more time we spend on there, which I know you do very little of, which I love.
Hmm.
Um, but the more time we're on there and seeing other people's highlights makes us feel
Yeah,
kind of terrible about our everyday life, which sucks because like most of us have pretty amazing lives. Like
it's
even
pretty
you and I, we're
good.
not making a ton of money. We don't eat filet mignon and drink $100 bottles of wine every
Oh god,
night.
no. Oh god,
Uh,
no.
but we're both at the same time, comparatively speaking, doing pretty good
We're
to
doing
other
pretty well.
countries. And in the past, like historically, we don't have to worry about saber-toothed tigers like hunting us down.
That's helpful.
We go and sleep in our apartments with airy bathrooms, like you said you've been dealing with, obnoxious roommates and all that.
Oh man,
But it's still okay.
that's a good growth experience too.
Yeah, yeah, man. Character building.
Yeah, and whoever is losing all that needs to figure out their own growth experience. They're like,
Get them some just for men.
I don't know what it is. I'm very surprised.
Yeah.
Um, but that made me. So I had a question I wanted to ask you, and that was, do you think that social media is A, an evil, and B, a necessary evil in 2018?
I don't think it's evil, but I do think there's like definitely some evil people who utilize it to really like
Hmm.
bring down and break down other people. I think it's
Hmm.
all about mindset. So for me, I really like to use social media as a way to connect with people I don't know, with people who inspire me, with people who I'm really close with, but I'm not in the same city with. It's the same, like even fantasy football is almost like social media in that like
That's
it keeps
true.
our friend group together in a lot of ways. Um,
That's like really the only thing
it
with
is,
the same
man.
group of people.
It is the only thing that keeps us together. And so
It's crazy.
I think there's a lot of power in social media. I think without social media, it would be nearly impossible for me to even get this podcast out.
Yeah.
Um, because it's not like I'm starting with a huge following or people who like are into what I have to say.
Right.
So it helps me kind of build awareness around what I'm trying to do, which is, have a podcast that impacts lives.
Oh, I think you're off to a fantastic start at the very least.
Thanks, man.
And I know I was telling you today to go the old school route of printing out individual flyers and posting them up around campus. That would be a pre-social media move right there.
That'd be awesome to do that. I really want to do that, and kind of do it in a really like creative way.
Mm-hmm.
Not be, I don't know, because you could see a sign like that and just be like, oh, what a douche. But you could also be like, wow, that's interesting. He's had so and so on, so and so, like
right.
this kind of stuff. Like, I want to check that out, because now we're living at a time where people are listening to podcasts on their commute rather than music. Like, I opt for podcasts, and audiobooks far more than I do for music, which sucks because I love music. But
it's almost 100% for me. I think I was actually taking a pee yesterday, and I was thinking about like when the last time that I just listened to music was, and it's been a long time. Like, my workouts are podcasts, my drives are podcasts, my walks, whatever else I'm doing, podcasts. Like, there's just so much information out there, and it's so accessible and it's largely free, that like I almost feel bad not consuming it. Like, I don't know, like, not that music is a waste of time, because it definitely isn't, but if you're trying to be like as efficient as humanly possible, your last guest was talking about this. He was talking about going for a walk and listening to a podcast. He's like, okay, well, during that time I can learn something, or I can have a few laughs or whatever. It's like this double activity at all times, where why do one thing when you can do two at the same time. And to me, podcasts feel that way, of like you're just adding another layer of productivity to something else that you're already doing, whereas music is more just like entertainment, or maybe therapeutic if you're listening to certain music or whatever, but it doesn't have the same feel as a podcast to me for some reason.
Yeah, that's a good point. There is kind of a little bit of that FOMO with the podcast too, and that, yes, like, once in a while I just go for a walk or go for a bike ride and I don't want to listen to anything, just listen to nature, and I'm like, well, I'm really missing out on an hour of content where I could be learning something or laughing. But yeah, you're so right. It's so dynamic, and it allows us to multitask. And I know there's a lot of people out there who don't believe multitasking exists, but you can definitely be in a flow state where you're running and completely absorbing whatever you're listening to, and it's dynamic.
That's huge, and the flow state for sure. Like that's this phenomena you're talking about has been so well studied, and there are lots of different research out there about that particular thing. And that's when you're so engrossed in the activity of whatever you're doing, your mind is not thinking of something else. Like, that's like pure concentration, pure focus, this flow. And I think that's incredibly therapeutic, because in those moments, say you're at baseline, a generally anxious person, depressed, kind of weird in the brain for some reason. When you're in this flow, like when you're doing something that you are just absolutely engrossed in, like in those moments, you're not that way. You're just a happy individual doing whatever the individual does. Like, you can't be anxious if you're not thinking about being anxious, or you can't be depressed if you're not like aware of your depression. So I think it's, getting into states like that is just absolutely priceless.
Absolutely, man. I'm going to pause it just for 1 second here. Momentary glitch in the University of Kansas Apple system. Maybe that's why.
It's an Apple problem.
It's an Apple problem. I know you're anti. Like, I love my iPhone, but
Android all the way.
Android. I do kind of miss the Android life.
It is nice, although people seem to get unreasonably upset when I show up as green in their text messages.
I can't love your text, and your texts always come in like out of order, man. And it exhausts me trying to read these text messages out of order and trying to.
I'm just trying to work your brain at all times of the day.
You definitely do. You definitely do. You take it to another level.
Yeah, then you hit the love button and my whole text comes back to me in quote form. So confusing.
Man.
But
So I know we wanted to talk a little bit about kind of like short-term sacrifice for long-term gain,
yeah.
and kind of delayed gratification. And it's something that with you choosing to go to med school,
Hmm.
obviously that's something that you signed up for and something that you've
For
experienced.
sure.
So what has that experience been like for you, and how do you kind of overcome the fact that right now, we see friends living certain lifestyles that
Hmm.
maybe we desire, and you're kind of just holding on to this hope or faith that at one point you're going to be able to be at that place?
Yeah, that's really what it is like a hope that I eventually will be at that place. It so I've been in med school now over a little over 3 years. Um, Much of my undergrad was devoted to trying to bust my ass and and say no to a lot of fun opportunities that were brought my way. So it's definitely been a sacrifice. It's definitely been a struggle at times. It's also kind of afforded me a lot of great positive moments in my life that have happened. Like I've lived out in New York City. I've lived in Cincinnati. I've lived in the Caribbean for 2 years. So there's been a lot of good with it too. But all this knowing that I kind of have to put my life on hold from the age of 20, 21 until whenever I graduate, in terms of finding a mate, getting married, having a kid, buying a house, having like a set career, that kind of thing. That, like you said, we do see a lot of our peers having, and it's I definitely want that. It's I love seeing like that when our friends are proposing, like our friend Phil did recently,
Hmm.
or having a baby, like Mike did recently. I don't know if you knew that. Did
I
you know
did
that?
see that. I saw
Yeah,
that she
okay,
posted
good.
it on Instagram. So once again, social media kind of helping me stay in the loop here.
Yeah, it came in as good. But yeah, so it's definitely sacrifice for hope of something better, which is the total definition of delayed gratification, which is there were there was this old study done, like a psychology thing about kids and marshmallows. And have you heard of this?
Oh yeah, dude, I made a YouTube video. I have a YouTube video on this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So for the listeners, what they did was they'd put kids in a room by themselves. They'd give them one marshmallow. The adult would leave, but before the adult left, they would say, "Hey, if you wait until I get back, I'll give you two." And then like they had these cameras on these kids who were just like in complete internal agony, like trying to not eat marshmallows. And it's been this like really long-term study, and they found that the kids who were able to delay their gratification, who didn't eat the one marshmallow and got two, have wound up being such and such more like financially or like socially stable and successful throughout the course of their lives so far than did their peers who just like mowed that original marshmallow
Hmm.
like it was their last day on earth.
Yeah,
So
that's so true.
it's,
Have you
it's
always been the kind of person who would wait for two marshmallows?
who's that?
Have you always been the kind of person who would wait for two marshmallows, or is that like something that you've grown into?
No, I think I've grown into that. Definitely, as a younger man, I would be the kind to eat a marshmallow if it was sitting right in front of me, and not really think much about it. But like through undergrad, I think undergrad especially is when that kind of changed.
Yeah, you evolved a lot at the University of Wisconsin Lacrosse. I feel like early on, our freshman year, it was kind of similar to how we were in high school. And then
Mhm.
or at least like for you, and then I kind of stayed in that phase, whereas you really grew up quick. And when we lived together, like you said, you made a lot of sacrifices. You wouldn't go out.
Mhm.
You dated and you had fun with that, but you were super super laser focused. And I always remember kind of looking up to you in that regard, because that's just that's not where I was at least not to that extent.
And thank you. But like since then, you've definitely become that. Like obviously, you're in graduate school, not only a master's but a PhD program. That is just at the exact level of delayed gratification as med school is for sure.
Yeah, it really is, man. And the weird thing with the PhD program and not wanting to go into academia is that like there's no surefire um, benefit or payoff from it. I
Mhm.
assume, I mean, I'm all about just like growing and learning more and becoming a better version of myself. And I don't have fear necessarily that the future is not going to be an exciting place for me.
Right.
But like for you, like you have this thing like it's a temple position. Like you're going to be a doctor and you're going to work in radiology and do all this amazing stuff, and you're like on the brink of that. So
So close.
it's really cool to see from the outside, but also from the inside, because I mean, we're obviously about as close as two people could be.
Yeah, exactly. It's so I'm about a year from graduation, and don't know where I'll be living yet or anything like that. So it's just big up in the air, jumble, mystery, exciting box to open that I haven't been able to open yet, obviously, until next year. But yeah,
And I'm hoping you're in
it's
KC.
fun.
Yeah, it is
Hey,
gonna be fun.
I will be down for KC.
Kansas City,
Absolutely.
that'd be so cool.
So the one time I've been out to Kansas City, I know you obviously know this, but you showed me around Lawrence, the classic LFK itself, as it's known apparently.
Absolutely.
And it's such a cool city. Like, what's it, Mass Street?
Mass Street,
So awesome. Yeah. University, so awesome.
Yeah, super liberal, really weird. There's just kind of like a different vibe here that's similar to Madison, but almost probably closer to Austin than Madison. Madison's not that weird.
Right.
But yeah, it's been fun living here going into year 3. And then we went to Kansas City and we caught the Kansas-Oregon game in the Power Light District, which was like the most hype experience of our lives until the game started. And then we just laid the fattest egg I've ever seen.
Oh, dude, that was so sad. That whole district, though, well, there were thousands of people in this little, like that little enclosed Power and Light District center. I don't even know what it is. We watched the game. We got a chance to shoot a 3-pointer on the old State Farm, whatever it was.
Yes, we did, trying to win $1,000 or whatever it was.
I think it was like free tickets to the game that was coming up.
Oh yes, that would have been so cool.
That would have been so cool, but both of us, we could not draw from our decades of basketball talent.
No, I don't think you hit rim. Not to call
I
you
definitely did not hit rim. The nerves got the best of me.
I know. There's a lot of people, man. There's hundreds of people around.
So back in Fort Atkinson, there was never a crowd that big.
No, that was
that basket that we shot for the State Farm, whatever it was had more fans, or had more onlookers, I should say, than all of our varsity games.
That's for sure. That's for sure. We probably had more.
You hit rim, though, for sure.
And that's crazy.
Yeah, and I thought the other day as well, not to jump topics too fast, but about our varsity basketball. I guess we had like almost a year together, and so I did not play junior year, and then I didn't play at the start of senior year, and I was just thinking of something that was meaningful to me. It was that for that senior year, when I didn't play, you took my number of 24, which I thought was absolutely fantastic, and was definitely meaningful to me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I did. I rocked up 24 my senior year because A, you weren't there, and B, they didn't have 12, which is always my favorite number, and 24 is 12, so there was kind of a double meaning for me. And then I remember when you, because your brother Jake passed away, serving the country, and you obviously were going through a really tough time, and you mentioned to Coach Haynes that you wanted to finish the season with the team, whether you played or not. You wanted to practice, be there, and he kind of brought me in and asked me what I thought, like if I thought that was fair, since you weren't doing you never did the off-season stuff, you missed a lot of two-a-days and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, absolutely, like this could be exactly what he needs to overcome whatever he's going through right now. Like I obviously can't relate, I don't know, but I think this is exactly where he should be. And I'm pretty sure you asked if you could have 24 when you came back, and at that point I was like, I'm too far, man. Like I'm rocking it, so you can be 23. But I think you were 23.
Yeah, I took 23 just to be as close as I could, but
my bad.
Yeah, dude, how dare you? How dare you take my number? Not salty at all, but yeah, that was huge for me for sure. I definitely needed that to kind of snap out of a funk that I was in, and I think that can kind of tie into what we were talking about before with the flow state, and getting out of it, like out of a depression, is suddenly, instead of me just like sitting at home thinking about negative things, it was like, okay, Now you have teammates that you're responsible to. Now you have something you have to do for a few hours every day that you like to do for a few hours every day. I can get into like a competitive mindset. And I've been the biggest sore loser that's ever existed that most of us know.
Yes, it's true.
I used to forcefully remove friends from my house after they had beat me in video games.
Video games. I always had that walk of shame home after.
Yeah.
Okay. Thankfully, you won more games than I did, so typically I was allowed to stick around.
It was mostly Fitzy that I'd kick out.
And oh gosh, poor Fitz. No wonder he doesn't talk to us anymore.
I know. We traumatized him for years.
We did.
But that's okay.
Yeah, I'll never forget the first game. Well, we got to get back to Flow State. The first game that I think you got into was at Oregon, and I think you maybe caught the ball in the corner, and I was like, Eddie, shoot! And you like build your first 3-0 net. I think that was your first shot on varsity.
I remember who assisted me. Do you remember who that was?
Was it Rico?
It was Rico. Yep.
Yeah. Our special senior.
He was getting some PT along with the Edmeister, and he hooked me up fat. And I'm really glad that he gave me a solid pass right in the corner. So,
dude, that was probably the only time he passed in his high school career. He never met a shot that he didn't think he was going to hit.
No, he goes 36 for 36 from the 3-point line,
according to his Facebook status.
Right, which is potentially true.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But for Flow State, I think you're so right in that like having something to do is so critical to avoiding anxiety, depression, whatever is, somebody's mental obstacle. And I think that's just because like when we think about anxiety, it's typically related to something in the future. When we think about depression, oftentimes it's something from the past that we're ruminating over. But when we're in the flow state, we're like 100% present. And a word that we use in sports psychology is mindful. So you want to be like 100% where you are. So like right now we're recording this podcast. And for me, like I'm not thinking about what I'm doing tonight. I'm not talking or like having any thoughts about what I just did at work or thinking about the Chick-fil-A, although now I am. I'm just here.
You're like, oh, look at the time. Gotta go.
Yeah, sorry, bud. Free chicken awaits. But, so that's really important for us to – and I think that's where meditation really can come in and help a lot of people too. There's growing body of research revolving around that. Just disconnecting from technology and not always being walking robots or heads in our phones, which I'm just as guilty of as anybody else. But all of us really collectively could help society's mental health, which is a growing issue. We see suicides all the time.
That is a huge issue. Yeah. Are you meditating at all?
So I don't meditate in the way that I think we might envision when you think of like Buddha and what we did when we were freshmen at UWL. We went to that meditation club.
Oh yeah.
But I think when I do go for a walk or go for a run or a bike ride, and I'm able to just like kind of turn off from everything else and just enjoy the sights and sounds, I kind of think of that as my meditation.
And I don't see how it could be anything else. Like you always send me the most beautiful Snapchats of like various sunsets and deer and what other flora and fauna that you come across.
For some reason, I'm oftentimes seeing deer very close up, or I've seen lots of snakes lately. I'm not into it, but it's still like it's a part of the world, and they occupy their space, I occupy my space, and so far they haven't messed with me, so it's cool.
Right. Don't step on them. Maybe they won't bite you.
Yeah, hopefully not. So far I almost stepped on a big time diamondback when Hannah and I were in California, but thankfully avoided that one. But I mean, it's also really humbling to like see something that could like kill you, and it just helps you to like maintain gratitude for, wow, I live in Kansas. I'm from Wisconsin. Like, it doesn't have anything to really be fearful of outside of drunk drivers and people texting or driving, and that are fellow humans. That's the most dangerous species on Earth, in my opinion.
And that's weird. That's what you said about seeing something that could kill you. Like in our normal day, like you said, we don't really think about that or don't really notice that. I think the only time, so I haven't seen a snake in a million years, but I think I was looking at a horse like a couple of months ago, and like I kind of got uneasy, like just because this animal is just so much bigger than I am. I'm like, although they're like really nice and people tame them and ride them and whatever, like I don't like being around animals that are bigger than me. I don't know. Like cows are cool because I think they're just slow and there's nothing that they're gonna do. But like horses specifically, I do not like. And let's see, I don't even think I've seen anything else that scared me like a horse. But for whatever reason, I'm not down with horses. I think it's just because they're big.
They're big and they can really mess you up if they kick you, man. I mean,
Yeah,
Adam talks about how if birds were bigger, they'd kill us all, and I totally agree.
100%.
Like, there's turkey vultures out here are always like hovering around my head when I run, and I'm like, they just want to like swoop down and crush me.
Oh, they're just waiting for you to die.
But yeah, exactly. They just want me to tilt over, and then they have a meal for a week. So, and then last night I was hanging out with a buddy, and his pit bull was there, and like I'm already naturally kind of programmed to be wary of pit bulls, and he was like all up on me, and then he started like nibbling me, and I was just like, man, like these animals, they don't necessarily have the best intentions. Like we have to respect nature. And
Right.
they evolved from wolves or something that at one point were just like a wild creature that roamed and did whatever it pleased to get by.
Yeah, I hate to have that prejudice against pit bulls, but like I definitely do. My stepmom and my brother recently got a pit bull a few months ago to add to be like a buddy to another dog that they've had for a long time. And they had this dog just for a couple months. And my stepmom, Krista, was taking it for a walk. And out of nowhere, when coming across another dog owner who was walking by, her dog, the pit bull, just like snapped and like just destroyed this other dog. Like she said, this dog like grabbed the other one, just shaking its head, like just flipping it like a rag doll.
Oh no!
And the other dog needed like staples in its head and had a couple like toes amputated and something like that. It lived and it's fine, but they had to put this pit bull down because it's like it just for no reason out of nowhere just kind of lost its mind. And I'm sure any dog could do that, but it just had to be the dog that is like kind of associated with that kind of behavior anyway. So it's a bummer.
That's not surprising, and I'm sure it didn't have anything to do with the way that Christopher Lars was breeding it or raising it. I just think that
right.
We all are predisposed to certain characteristics or personalities, and some people are a little bit more on the aggressive side, and they have that capacity to just attack. And there's nothing that we could do either if that happened to us. Those dogs are vicious.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
All right. How about now? You good?
Oh yeah, better now.
Awesome.
I don't know what it was.
Hey, we still have probably like 20 minutes.
Okay.
Is there anything else that, like topic-wise, that you'd like to kind of transition into, or?
Have you talked about habits and routine on your podcast before?
No, I don't. I mean, we talked a little bit with Ryan about habits, but it was really brief and routine. So I'd be curious to hear a little bit about yours to start. I know that you kind of you've been all over the place. So you were in Wisconsin a few months ago when I was back, and then you were living out in New Jersey, and now you're in Cincinnati, and then you'll be back out in New Jersey in the fall, and then you'll be in Wisconsin for the winter. So it's kind of hard to establish a routine when that's your reality. But we'll for some keys of your routine.
So so it definitely is hard with changing your living situation so often. But I think it's very key and very important to have simple things like your morning routine and like your bedtime routine be pretty much the same every single day. Wake up, make coffee, brush teeth, or I guess wake up, make coffee, drink a big thing of water, brush teeth, take shower, get dressed, and then go. Like there's so many things that just happen automatically at the start of my day that What I think the benefit is is that you know exactly how long it takes you to do such things, so that you don't have any anxiety about being late or whatever. But also in that when you just do the same thing every single day for these like kind of mundane parts of your life, it really frees up your brain to think about something else, or plan for something, or reflect on something that happened previously, which I know can kind of be anti-mindfulness, um, which has downsides for sure. You know, not being mindful of what you're doing, but it's kind of just like automating a lot of these mundane things and then devoting your energy somewhere else. I definitely think it's important. Another one would be going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, even on the weekends, which is very hard for some people to do, because they think, okay, on the weekends, I'm going to catch up on sleep now. I'm going to sleep in a few extra hours. I'm going to stay up later. But everybody knows that that makes it harder on Sunday night and Monday morning to start their week. I think people tend to be happier when they have like a very solid sleep schedule of just, this is when I go to bed and this is when I wake up. Um, so I like what better way to start your morning other than waking up in your usual like normal routine based, well rested mindset.
Totally. Yeah. There's
And then
nothing
making your
better
bed,
than
of course.
waking up naturally. I think that's
Right.
that's the best feeling ever. Is like I fall asleep at 10, I wake up at 6, and we're
Yeah.
good to go. There's no temptation to keep sleeping in. I don't have to hit snooze because I didn't use an alarm.
I'm really anti snooze button.
Dude, I hate the snooze. I think you got to
Yeah.
just get up. You got to just go. That's what Jordan B. Peterson talks about. And this is
Ooh.
very much so aligned with what you would say. Wake up at the same time and make your
Yeah.
damn bed.
Make your damn bed.
Yeah.
It's such a simple thing. And, every parent always tries to get their kid to make their bed, and every kid doesn't ever want to do it, including me. All throughout high school and most of college, didn't do it. But since starting med school, yeah, every day make the bed. And I don't know if it's helped at all, but it definitely doesn't hurt. And my bedroom looks nice, at the very least.
Yeah. And your first point, too, about kind of establishing a routine so that you can exert your energy to maybe forecasting your day or think
Hmm.
back to yesterday. I mean, a lot of presidents, I think, have talked about how they would wear the same thing almost every day, or a lot of CEOs, guys like Zuckerberg, they
Steve
kind of have
Jobs.
Steve Jobs, they have that process where it's like, I don't want decision fatigue. And decision
Right.
fatigue, I think, is a pretty real thing. The more decisions we make, kind of maybe we build momentum with them, but I think at the same time, maybe by the end of the day, it's also easier to have that Ben and Jerry's or a glass of bourbon,
You know
whatever.
right where to hit me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've been talking about the Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, this has been an ongoing discussion for sure. But so I've not heard of that concept actually, decision fatigue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've
I've
never
been
heard of it.
reading a lot about that.
Okay, well that's interesting. I could totally see that making sense and being significant. Make the easy parts of your day easy.
Exactly. Yeah, and a lot of people are really into doing the hardest thing you have to do all day first when you have maximum energy and brain power. For me
Hmm.
personally, I don't know if it works like that. I think it takes me a while to get rolling, maybe a few
Yeah,
hours. But I think that also is something that when you could develop that habit can become really powerful, that it's 10, 11 in the morning and you've already accomplished the biggest task of the day. That's
right.
pretty liberating.
I think that's the same like kind of process as working out in the morning as opposed to at night. Is like you get in there, you do the thing that you might be kind of feel obligated to do, or it might just be kind of the right thing to do for health reasons. Get it done early. Gives you more energy somehow by some weird magic of exercise, and then you have a sense of accomplishment immediately. And then you can then maybe you can tackle your more important decision or your hardest task of the day. Because working out shouldn't be the hardest thing you do all day. If that's the hardest thing you do all day, you're not doing anything.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, physically, it might be the hardest thing you do, but
Yes.
mentally, it should not. And I think you should be working out hard enough where it does take some mental strength too. So,
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Yeah, it just makes you wake up more somehow.
yeah. So how about,
Excuse
so
me.
this is a little bit of a different spin, but like we
What's
talk
up?
about habits, and there was a period of your life where like cannabis was a habit.
Hmm.
You frequently would drink probably 4, 5, 6 beers in a night and get
Sure.
pretty drunk, and now you're at a stage of your life where cannabis is non-existent, uh,
Hmm.
and alcohol is very sparse.
Hmm.
That's a big
Very, very.
development, and I think a lot of people struggle with that. So like, can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, I think that that's just been part of growing up in that as my responsibilities have increased, as the difficulty of what I'm doing has increased, I've just kind of realized that I just don't have the extra mental capacity to spend on getting high or getting drunk, um, and doing things like that truly are damaging. I'm not anti marijuana by any means, but I am against it when people only spin it as healthy and only spin it as beneficial to all different random systems of your body as a you know cure all, and and how it's great because it's natural and all these things. I'm not down with that, although I don't think it's the devil either. It's just kind of a sorry, just another another substance you can do that has risks and benefits. Um, Alcohol, I think, is pretty much bad. I don't see the positives with that one.
There's really
Uh,
not.
yeah, but obviously it's fun, and doing these things in a social setting, it can be a positive in that way. If your friendships are built around it, I think that's a terrible foundation, but it can be kind of a bonding activity too. But it's been yeah, it's been interesting to go through the last maybe 8 years or so, going from someone who would smoke every day and who would get drunk every weekend, um, among other substances, to someone who is pretty much completely abstinent, minus a couple drinks maybe once a month or once every other month. Um, I don't know. It's will I never do it again? Probably can't say that, but for the foreseeable future and during my career, then no, it just has to be a no,
Mm,
which is fine. I'm glad I don't have an addictive personality. I've never had problems with that. Like I know a lot of people I know do have, um, so I feel thankful in that regard for sure.
absolutely, yeah. I would definitely describe you as a sober soul. Like
Hmm.
you've got a weirdness to you that is just natural and is awesome, and you don't need other things to help stimulate you. Or
Yeah.
like I was a big drinker of coffee at UWL, and when we lived together, and I don't even think you were like really that into coffee until probably
So like last
like,
year.
yeah, like we went to Europe, started and you're like, oh, this is pretty good, and then now
Yeah.
it's like a daily thing, and it's beautiful and great and it's delicious and helps you,
And
but
now
you
I'm a
didn't need it.
snob.
Yeah, you are.
No, yeah, now like I'll scoff at like McDonald's coffee and like Starbucks. I'm like, oh,
Folgers, fuck
this is
that.
below me. How dare they present me with this?
I mean, you are going to be a
But
doctor though, so you can have a little bit of that too.
that's true. I need expensive coffee, I guess.
Yeah.
But that trip to Europe that you're talking about, I don't think we have a lot more time. But have you talked about our greatest day of all time?
I haven't, man. No. So we
Oh,
could talk about that. So we arrived in Iceland at like midnight, I want to say, pretty late. We flew from New York City, and I convinced Mitch and Casey, who I was traveling with, it was us three, to go downtown to go like scope this out because I don't know, I was just excited, and we had the
yeah.
option to sleep and wake up early, but we went out, and it was the perfect evening. I mean, it was the time of the year where Iceland was a perpetual sunset from like
Mhm.
10 p.m. to 8 a.m. or whatever it was. So we took a legendary picture down by the
Oh
water.
man.
We walked around, and some dude asked us if we wanted to get stabbed, I think.
He's like, hey, you guys want to fight? That's a super drunk dude.
Yeah, just like, no thanks, man. See ya.
And he was totally cool with it. He was like, all right.
He's like, all right, peace. Welcome to Iceland, you foreigners.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and then so we woke up the next day and we headed towards the glacier. Am I right? That's
Hmm.
in our rented car, and Mitch drove very well in the
No,
stick
thank you.
shift. Yeah, you got to.
I almost killed us once.
Yeah, I mean, I was freaking out a lot because I'm just naturally, I'm like my dad. I'm not a good backseat driver, passenger.
Yeah.
I want to be in control. So it was tough. But we got to the glacier and we walked out on it and got some cool pictures.
So cool.
A magnificent waterfall on the way back.
Mm-hmm. Totally. There's no signs to this place. There's no indicators that there's a beautiful vista or anything nearby. We just for no reason, we decided to pull off on the side of the road and just walk, and came up over this little hill and just looked in, and there was this gorgeous little river and waterfall. Looking on the other side, there were just mountains and glaciers, and it was just the most beautiful thing.
It was perfect, man. And then we went back to Reykjavik
Mm-hmm.
for the Iceland-France game. Iceland was
Yes.
playing in a national tournament. And
Was that the World Cup?
it wasn't the World Cup. It was the one that happens every 4 years. That's like European Championships.
Oh,
So
okay, one of those.
teams. But they had just beaten England and some other big-time country. So this country of, 300,000 that Iceland is,
Max.
it's got the stadium packed, people going boom, boom. And then we were downtown in a park with 40,000 Nordics, just having the time of our life, man. And we ended up on a movie that night, right?
Yeah, so we're sitting on our beach blanket watching the end of the game as Iceland lost. We'll just remember that. And up walks this guy who none of us knew, I don't think. And he introduces himself. He goes around the whole circle. We all say our names. He repeats our names back to him because he's foreign. I think he's from Finland.
Yep.
He ends up being this I guess famous Finnish movie star. And he gets to Derek, and Derek's like, "Hey, yeah, my name's Derek." He's like, "Oh, Jared." And Derek has this long history of either being called tons of names that sound very similar to Derek, or at least answering when someone else is being beckoned for that has a name that's very similar to Derek, such as Daryl, Jared, Jaren, Darren.
Oh yeah, there's so
Eric.
many. This goes on and on. Dude, I was gonna text you the other night because I was at Burger Stand getting late night burgers.
Nice.
And so they have a system where you walk up, you order, and then they call your name on the loudspeaker to pick up your food.
Mhm.
I grabbed my burgers, and I went and we were eating. And the next two names he called were Jared and Erica, and both of them sounded exactly like Eric. And I was just like, dude, I can't get away from this nonsense. And it happened in the weight room today too here at KU. Like some girl kept saying, "Let's go, Erica," or I don't know who she was rooting on. All girls, but I swear they were saying my name. Like the world is just out to give me a big time headache surrounding this.
Yeah, gives you a little motivation.
Yeah, frustrates me, man. I got to change my name.
Something like that's got to happen.
It's got to happen. But then, I mean, so what else? So we got on that movie.
Yeah. We got in this weird Finnish movie.
And then we just celebrated.
And we got an ESPN.
We did with Marty Smith.
Marty Smith, yeah.
Marty Smith. YouTube, it's got the video.
It's on YouTube, yep, crazy. And this whole group of Icelanders were just so happy and so, I don't know, celebratory, although they had lost.
They had no idea they lost. I don't think winning and losing is a thing in Iceland. I think they just win.
It's too equal.
Yeah.
Everyone just gets a participation trophy. Which is something that Derek and I have been making fun of since about 6th grade. So
I threw my
let it be known here.
Trophies away, man. I threw that away. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You got to earn it, or you don't want anything.
Right. It's a waste of paper. Don't even have it.
Right.
Yeah. If you didn't win it, you don't get it.
Man, I wish we could just keep going. I feel like we could pull a Joe Rogan and have like a 3-hour podcast together.
Oh man, that would be splendid.
Yeah, we didn't even. This is like the tip of the iceberg. We're just getting started.
Yeah, we got a lot more to get into.
We do, but the time has come. The studio's gonna be closing down, and you got to get ready for work.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you making time and zooming in because
it's been great.
You've got lots of insights and wisdom. So, is there any closing remarks that you've got for masses?
For the masses,
all 3 dozen.
This will be an archive. Eventually, it will be thousands.
Yeah. Okay.
No, just very, very appreciative to get the invite onto the podcast. I know it's been a long time coming. We just had to work it out schedule-wise, and finally, we got a day that worked out for both of us. So very glad to have been able to come on here, chat with you about just random stuff for the last hour. For the masses, I just want to tell them all that their destiny is in their hands. No matter how bad things are, they have the power to make the best of their situations. If they work hard, have the right attitude, and they can get shit done. Their world's going to improve, as it has for me and everyone that I know.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
I got nothing to add. I mean, that's a perfect way to close it.
Just a quick little wisdom.
Just drop this mic right here.
Yeah.
All right.
But
Well, Eddie, thanks so much for coming on. I love you, man. You're my brother.
love you too, brother.
And I look forward to doing this again soon.
It will happen. Absolutely.
Totally. All right, guys.
All right. See ya.
This has been the Get Podcast. Episode 13. We'll be out with more soon. And please subscribe on iTunes. Help me get this podcast on Spotify. Appreciate all your fun and hope you have a wonderful